You're watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
Okay, well, we don't seat anybody for a selectman's rep anyways.
Yeah.
So, on with the agenda. So we have the approval of the minutes of December 18th, 2025. And we have continuance of two public hearings, one of them Planning Board 25017. It's a site plan review application. Fieldstone Land Consultants have submitted a site plan review application on behalf of Paul Thomas to expand the gravel parking lot at Twinkle Town. Property is located at tax map 220, lot 191 in the business district. And okay, we already had the site visit, I'm sure. And the next one, Planning Board 25-018, is also a continued public hearing. And that would be site plan review application. Fieldstone Land Consultants have submitted a site plan review application on behalf of Paul Thomas for an accessory storage structure measuring 5,000 square feet. Property is located at tax map 220, lots 171 and 173 in the business district. And we had a site visit on that one. So discussions and other business, it'd be a new tenant application. And let's see, and a discussion on rezoning proposal, and then adjournment, and anything else that needs to be discussed. Back to the top, I don't think we need the regional impact, unless someone disagrees. We need, because it's the same stuff that was on last time. So I think we can skip that. And we can go right to the approval of the minutes of December 18th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make it.
Motion by Brandon to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. Is there any further discussion or changes or alterations? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? And we're done with that. First up is a continued public hearing. That's Planning Board 25017. And there was a site visit on January 5th at 2 p.m. And what occurred there? I was not there, so anything come up at the site visit?
Just the fact that where the wetlands actually intersect with the parking lot and the building.
Okay.
I asked him to bring in some distances for those particular issues.
Okay, so looks like he's
I have some Conservation Commission comments when we're ready for those, whenever you guys want those.
okay. So, any changes to the plan?
Good evening. For the record, John Newman from Fieldstone Land Consultants, here on behalf of Paul Thomas. So in the site walk, we started at this end that most everyone parked along the frontage here. From the last planning board, it was requested was to get a count on roughly existing parking spaces. So we didn't include any over here. We have 5 parking spaces. That's using a 9x18, a standard space. We have 5 here. We're showing 7 here and allocating 3 spaces on this end with proposed signs for the ADA space. So grades here are pretty flat towards this end. Paul Thomas has said typically when they have people with disabilities, they have a bus come in and they usually park somewhere along right here on the front so they can get right out and go to usually it's just to the ice cream side. So we located those spaces. So technically 2 are ADA spaces, 1 is a van unload space, but then we have signs shown there. Distances were brought up from the parking lot in the rear, the wetland. So we have 11 feet is the closest point of this wetland here. And then the far end is 23 feet and the other far end is 23 feet from the wetland. Now something we were looking at was, it was requested was could the parking lot shift towards the building and remove the tree that is here. There's 20-inch maple here and a storage container that could be moved. But we're 13 feet currently from this wetland point and 11 on this side. So if we move it further, we're just gonna encroach a different point of the wetland. So right now it's kind of centered between this point and this next closest point in the wetland. So we'd like to discuss just keeping, move forward the plan of keeping it where it is, where it's centered in between these 2 points. And that would allow these existing trees to remain, specifically the larger maple that's here, this 20-inch maple, and then if we move it across, we could eventually have to remove these trees. So with the current layout, we're not touching any of the trees that are existing along this western property line, and we're not touching the trees that are on the eastern side of the parking lot. So we feel it's a pretty good location for that. One of the other items we took off in talking with with Paul, and then also reading the Conservation Commission meeting, was that this would just remain a gravel parking lot. No pavement. So before we had it as an ad alternate if it was paved. So we've taken that off. This would be a hard packed gravel. And then we would still have the infiltration trench along the edge to take up any additional runoff that would be into that infiltration trench along the western edge of the parking lot. So the grades are all pitched from this side being the high side to the western edge.
Okay.
So that was discussed, at the site walk, and we tried to incorporate some of those Conservation Commission
All right.
recommendations.
What were the other Conservation Commission
So for
concerns?
this specific project, just reading directly from Sherry here and the members of the Conservation Commission, some members recalled that the abutting wetland has been encroached on and filled in over time without permits. While this project is admissible under the current ordinance, it's a great example of why we are trying to change the ordinance. 10 to 20 feet is too close to put a parking lot to a wetland, and especially if the only buffer is mowed. This setup allows eroded materials, trash, included runoff from cars to easily reach the wetland. We felt that there is ample room to shift the first row of parking spaces to the east and put the lot closer to the building, moving the storage container, and perhaps removing a tree or two. A 50-foot vegetated buffer might not be achievable, but we could certainly come closer. In addition, there are dumpsters and a covered area with mowing equipment stored about 10 feet from the wetland on bare ground. Any spills or leaks here would soon penetrate the groundwater, and this area is also low-lying and flood-prone. These things should be stored elsewhere. Lastly, we are not convinced that the drainage plan is adequate. We would ask that the area remain gravel and not paved.
Okay, those are the concerns there. Let me just have that.
Your drainage retention there along that edge, is that going to have some sort of vertical buffer? Because if there isn't, if it's just like a trench or what have you, if you have an extremely heavy thunderstorm or something like that, and you have it sloped towards the wetland, correct?
Yeah, so what this is
There's a potential of it overflowing that and running off into the wetland.
So, right, so this trench is even with the edge of the parking lot, and then it goes down 2 feet. There's fabric that's wrapped around, so the water goes into the stone through the fabric and then stores in that stone. So it would have to fill up that trench and then spill over, so, yeah, I mean.
Is there a different way of taking care of that?
It tends to be a very effective way to take care of a parking lot to sheet flow. We're not gonna have as much runoff where it's only gonna be a gravel parking lot, but 2 feet deep of 1.5-inch stone, so it's larger stone, it uses the voids. I think it would have ample storage for runoff on this small parking lot. We've done this on multiple other sites without issues.
Excuse me, what is the slope?
1%. So this is laid level this way, and the parking lot pitch is only 1% across, 1.6 back here at the steepest part. So
And there's no outlet
it'll
on
look
it, right?
flat to the naked eye.
It's a ditch, there's no outlet, correct? No outlet.
There's
on
no
it.
outlets
Yeah,
for
okay.
infiltration.
Okay. And the storage buildings that the Conservation Commission was talking about?
It's on, that's not probably on another.
Oh, it's on a
No,
different
it's
block.
on this one.
It's on this one. And that was right in the corner, right over there.
Yeah, so
that we're
there's
talking
a
about.
shipping
Oh, right
container
there, yeah.
here, and that was where they were discussing if it was shifted this way, the storage container could be removed. And then we were mentioning the dumpsters, which are located here.
See what they're saying, let's try to shift this away from the.
Yep.
So the dumpsters have been located here for quite some time.
John, that building will probably be going, if it's gonna be parking. It's just like metal carport.
Oh, okay, and then the carport part,
No,
yes.
not a building.
Yeah, so that carport is down
You
here.
did say that was
So
temporary
that,
shipping container.
as Paul said, he could move, get rid of that.
Easy enough to move on the property. Okay, and that would be grandfathered in anyway, but that's,
Right, so those aren't proposed features, those, the dumpsters and
Yep.
that carport with sort of, that's.
Existing
been there.
conditions.
That's an existing condition.
okay.
Mark's got one.
Yep, Mark?
John, if, I guess that tree and other items were removed, how far can the parking lot shift to the east, away from the wetlands? Do you have an idea what?
If we, so we looked at it, if we shift, we could probably get another 10 feet over this way, but we would be about 5 feet from this point, wetland finger.
Yeah, I understand that.
So,
So another
yeah, but we
10.
could get about another 10 feet if we shifted it that way and took those.
And what was the
back.
distance you, currently?
We're currently at 11 on this side and 13 on this side to the well.
So you can't shift it 50 feet, correct?
No.
Without not having a parking lot there, right? Or 75 feet.
Right.
So as
50
a,
and 75 and up.
yeah, so as the current zoning is now, you're within our current zoning. So if the zoning changes after town meeting, then you'd be back for a conditional use permit, and those things that have to be addressed then. Now it's kind of not really worthwhile talking about setbacks and stuff because it meets what our current zoning is. If and when it doesn't meet the current zoning and you need a conditional permit, then we'll be looking at that.
Yeah,
What
I was
else?
just trying to see if we can get 25 feet, right?
Yeah, and I was just seeing if you would, be able to get 50 feet, which you can't.
Right, that seems rather rough, right?
So those those setbacks and stuff would be discussed during conditional use permit hearing.
And then as far as the rear setback, if that was shifted, you're getting closer, as you stated, would you consider losing a couple of parking spaces in that corner in order to increase the setback there?
The zoning, it would be for an approval.
And I'm just trying to give,
Knowing
food for
that
thought
they'd have to
and,
come back with
spirit of the ordinance that, we're hoping comes into
Mentioned it to him last week.
existence.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think keeping it centered where it is between the two wetland points makes the most sense where we're maximizing parking.
Or what's the minimum amount of parking spaces you can get away with to make it viable for them?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I mean, if we do shift, we probably could lose maybe one space, 2 spaces on that corner if we have to move it, but ideally, we're trying to keep it balanced. It's 10 and 10, right?
Well, even if you come up with a 15, 20, or 25-foot setback from back there, you're still going to have to come back for a conditional use permit because you won't meet the 50 or 75, so regardless
All
of
the
whatever.
way around it, yeah.
So it makes no sense really to talk through it now because, yes,
Sorry, if I may, I would check with Chris at Town Hall to see if you even need a building permit to construct a gravel parking lot. Because if he doesn't need a building permit, then site plan approval is the final step. The only reason the RSA would take effect is if he needs a building permit.
what RSA are you talking about?
The RSA that states that we can't issue building permits if a change in the ordinance is on the horizon. So he might not need a conditional use permit, because if he doesn't need a building permit, then
I see what you're saying there,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll,
this only. comes
again, we'll
into
have to figure that out if and when.
I don't think he needs a building permit, it's unclear.
I think you're right about that. I don't think he doesn't
Yeah.
need a building permit.
It's
Yep.
different for the next application, but for this one, I don't think there's any need to worry about the
No,
conditional use.
but also, if that zoning passes, come March, he will need to come in for a conditional use permit because that's a use that isn't allowed by right in the wetland district.
If it's approved now, he won't need to.
You're sure about that?
I'm
Yeah.
positive about that. Yeah, so if it's approved now, the approval date is from this ordinance that we have in effect now. Not
Okay.
the case for the next application, but it is the case for this.
I got you.
But
Okay.
if you need a building permit, then that's all, whatever I just said.
Okay, moving on. Let's see, what else do we have?
We also, so Paul had found, this was discussed at the last meeting, but there was a hand-drawn site plan that was done back in 1980 by his father. This is
Of the Twinkle Town one?
Yeah, of
Okay.
Twinkle Town, and it shows additional parking to the rear. That was,
And that is,
so this is the existing home, Twinkle Town golf course, and their mini golf is out in front, and it's showing additional parking to the rear.
how's this laid out? How's this,
So,
how is this relevant to what we're talking about now?
just that in 1980, they had planned on doing additional parking.
Back here, okay,
In the back.
in the same spot. I got you.
It was approved in 1980 that we could have additional parking.
Right, so it,
I don't believe that's if I remember from our walkthrough,
This was not on record
It's not on
with
record
the town.
anyway.
This is what was brought forward by his father for the building permit and site plan approval at that time in 1980.
Okay. Anybody else from the planning board here?
I'm still wondering, just going to a higher level, how you've arrived at a demonstrated need for more parking? In other words, how did you arrive at I know that historically this parking area was on the ancient site plan, right? So that was sort of envisioned.
Yes.
But do you have a sense, I'm just wondering, have we oversized this parking lot for the existing need? Okay, because in addition to the parking
Yeah, so-
across the front,
They've used this lot across
Yes.
the road historically.
yes,
And parking along the road.
Yes.
So in doing this, this is now subdivided, this is its own lot. Across the road is now the 3 lots that are separate. It's to really bring all the parking onto
okay.
onto
So you're saying the lot
lot
across
that
the road is no longer available for Twinkle Town to use?
Correct.
Oh,
This is approved, this is ultimately to use,
Okay.
everything for Twinkle Town is on this lot.
Okay, just hadn't heard those words. Thank you.
It's their right to do it anyway, regardless of whether they need that parking or whether we think they need it or not. The only way the planning board has jurisdiction over is if they underestimate their parking, not overestimate it. So if
But
they
we
want
can
to,
encourage them to not encroach
We
on
can-
wetlands
Yeah.
if they don't need to.
we can, but
as
I'm
much
saying that's
parking.
their right to do it if they want to, as property owners.
But we can still bring up the issue and discuss it, and perhaps they would be amenable to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Anybody else from the planning board here? Anybody from the public on this? Then I'm going to close the public hearing. And I'm closing the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. All right, we have everything in front of us here. And what say the planning board? Anybody want to speak up on this? If not, if it looks okay, then a motion to approve is in order. Nothing there either, huh?
Well, I'm just
Well,
thinking
I'm
for a
not,
second here.
do we need to approve based on what Adam said?
Yeah, we need to approve because it's an expansion of the site plan.
Then I'll make the motion that we approve it.
Motion by Brandon to approve the new parking lot at Twinkle Town. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Michael. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Adam, would you be so kind as to read again what the Conservation Commission said about this?
Yes, I'm sorry you guys don't have printed copies. I received comments yesterday, kind of late. Yeah, anyway. Conservation Commission comments. So some members recall that the abutting wetland has been encroached on and filled in over time without permits. While this project is admissible under the current ordinance, it is a great example of why we're trying to change the ordinance. 10 to 20 feet is too close to put a parking lot to a wetland, and especially if the only buffer is mowed. This setup allows eroded materials, trash, included runoff from cars to easily reach the well. We felt that there is ample room to shift the first row of parking spaces to the east and put the lot closer to the building, moving the storage container and perhaps removing a tree or two. A 50-foot vegetated buffer might not be achievable here, but we could certainly come closer. In addition, there are dumpsters in the covered area with mowing equipment stored about 10 feet from the wetland on bare ground. Any spills or leaks here would soon penetrate the groundwater, and this area is also low-lying and flood prone. These things should be stored elsewhere. Their last comment was addressed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion on that?
I wonder if we could condition any approval on having the mowing equipment moved from that shed. Is that something that,
It could if the motion is made with conditions. You made the motion, you seconded it, those have to be approved there.
I'll agree to
And
that.
they said that they could move that shed easily. It's
Sure.
not secured to the
It
ground.
doesn't have to,
So
I'll
do you
change
amend
my
your motion?
Yeah, to,
Condition that the shed containing the storage equipment is moved further away or as far as possible away from the wetland.
So this is it's an open shed, just to be
That's-
clear, it's an
you
open
said it
shed
was.
that has some mowers,
Yeah.
sort of like a snow blower
And
and stuff.
to move
Yeah.
as far away as possible from the wetlands.
I don't know if this should be included, but it's my understanding that the next part that we're going to be working on is going to be a storage shed that's going to be used personally and for the business. So all the mowing equipment and stuff like that should be moved across the road.
It could be, but,
Yeah, no.
yeah,
how
I
do
know,
we-
I know
how do we
it's
work
tied in
this
there, but we can discuss that on that next public hearing part of it there and see if that's something that would happen. Are you agreeable to the amendment to the,
Yes, yes, if they move that shed, yes.
if they move the shed far as they can from the wetland?
As they can.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, and you have your approval with that condition about moving the lawnmower equipment and the shed as far as you can away. Brings us to the second public hearing, which is Planning Board 25-018. And that has to do with a accessory storage structure measuring 5,000 square feet to be put on parcel line.
John, do you mind if I read out the comment first? So real quick, while we're getting set up for this next one, Conservation Commission has comments on this application as well. They are largely similar to the last application. This area has also been filled in over the years. We saw no reason that the proposed storage would be so close to the wetland when there is room to move it in. They are also asking if there's a new drainage plan for roof runoff. They're also asking when the driveway permits off of Marcy Hill Road were permitted. They also have questions about the loose materials in storage. That's currently.
Okay. So, what do we have for changes on this drawing, if any?
For the record, John Newman, Fieldstone Land Consultants, here on behalf of Paul Thomas. So, when we did the sidewalk, we started on Arrowcraft, the residential down, came through, walked down, looked at the change of use for the house, and then obviously more focused on where the building lies here. So the 5,000 square foot building, roughly, comes right along the edge here. This driveway, to answer the Conservation Commission on that, so there's a driveway that comes through here that's gravel. There's piles from loam and gravels that were here. These were on site prior to the applicant Paul buying the property. And then he connected this driveway and installed this driveway last year, so he pulled the driveway permit with the town. We had delineated wetlands along this area before the driveway went in. This was a maintained ditch from the town as well on each side, so that was checked by the building inspector when they put in the driveway culvert for the crossing. So that was done approximately 1 year ago.
Okay.
So that connects through here. This is the property that was purchased from the town, was this section here, and that was part of the subdivision when that was approved last meeting where this is all the subject lot.
Yep.
So in walking the site and then getting the comments from Conservation Commission, we had looked at is this corner, especially to the southwest, is very close to the wetland. We were proposing a tree cut in order to grade this out here. So we weren't into the wetland, but we were showing trees there. So with that, we revised the plan that the applicant would be amenable to, and we'd like to present tonight. This could be a condition, is we rotated the building and basically aligned it with that driveway through there. These loam piles and everything would be removed that are where it's currently sitting. So we moved it out, and then that gave us 30 feet from the wetland, and we're not grading down there's no trees cut, so the existing tree line stays as is, and we're at grade right at the back of the building, so we're not chasing anything down that way. And what was on the original plan, and then is going to be on the amended plan here, is stormwater would be handled by an infiltration trench similar to the other one, where roof runoff would go into a 2 foot deep, or 3 foot deep on this one, stone drip edge, so it's 1.5 inch stone wrapped in fabric along here, and then the parking spaces. So we showed gravel parking spaces that it can have 3 on this end and 2 on this one, and because 5 is required for using it as on the calculation for parking requirement. They won't be striped, these are just gravel, so it's already a gravel surface there.
So once the water goes into the stone, the fabric wrapped stone, where does it go from there?
Into the ground, so it just soaks back into the ground.
So there's no piping?
There's no
I
piping
don't know
at
if it's a
all.
new set or not, but it's.
No, so that way it keeps it here, we're not trying to, like, it's so close to the wetland,
There's no revisions on any.
we would end up impacting something, so it's 100% just infiltration into the ground.
And so, you find that to be successful, that it actually
Yeah,
does?
certainly with roof runoff, definitely.
Yeah, the back end is gonna.
There's only 5 parking spaces now, so.
I'm just thinking, there's a lot of water that's going to be coming off that roof, right?
Right.
And it'll hit the ground, it's going to be really focused.
Yeah. Yeah, so the 1.5-inch stone doesn't move when it has the water coming
No, I
off
know.
of the roof, it stays put.
It stays put, but.
And then having
so doesn't the
3
water.
feet deep, that's enough volume, and it's 3 foot wide.
When we did the site visit, I know that you're here for this building, but you were discussing the existing garage, saying that was going to be converted to residential use? And you've indicated that on this plan.
Correct, that's this home here, with the addition on each side, so that was already done, that building permit
Okay. That's
was
just-
issued, so that,
okay.
yeah, that's,
Okay. Because I thought I heard somebody say that this was in the residence district, but it's not. It's in the
no,
business district.
no,
Yeah,
it's in the
okay.
business district.
Okay.
But it's a residential use in the business district. Yeah. Which brings me again to say that building that you're putting up there, your proposed use is storage building, right? Yeah, storage building, which the last I recall, it's not a permitted use in the business district. And it doesn't look to me like it's being used as a business. It's being used as a residence with a 4-bay garage added to it.
We went back and forth on this, is the use of this residential only, but ultimately, the applicant is gonna be using it for his business over here to use for storage and equipment in here. So he doesn't wanna end up with it that he can only use for the residential use, to use that garage. He's hoping that he can use it for items for the Twinkle Town use, which is
Yeah.
commercial, so it is kind of a
Makes sense, yeah.
back and forth.
Adam?
Yeah, Chad, John, and I talked a lot about the use of this garage. Ultimately, it's an accessory use to both the current structure on the lot and Twinkle Town.
It can't be an accessory use at Twinkle Town, it's not part of the property.
Well, it's an accessory use to the property that it's on as well.
Yeah,
So-
only to the property that it's on. It can't be accessory use for adjoining property.
So practically, they're
But
gonna,
they're using it as accessory use to the adjoining property, but it can't
Exactly.
fall under that, but go ahead.
it's an accessory use to this property.
Yep.
As a whole, and accessory
So-
uses are allowed,
They definitely are, but it just says in here, not accessory use, it says
Yeah.
storage building. It should say accessory use on there. I
yes,
mean,
it should, yep.
Just so that the planning board isn't approving something that's not approvable. We can approve an accessory use, but we can't approve a storage building if it's not allowed in the business zone, which it isn't.
Yeah.
So, we can change that later, but just so that we know what we're approving it as, correct? And we know that, okay.
Yeah,
We
it was
can-
discussed too,
Yep.
there was never a site plan either for this site, similar to Twinkle Town, there was never
Yep.
recorded.
And now you
for
have
the
one,
town.
which is good.
So
You have
this
one, yep.
ultimately gives the town a document
Yep.
for the future moving forward, if there was a change of use or if that was.
Yeah, and I see, you turn the building to make it a little bit better for the wetlands there, but still, if the zoning goes through, this one, you will need to come back, if that zoning passes, for a conditional use permit. And I know you understand that, but I'm just bringing it up again.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Any other board members for this? Anybody from the public on this one? No? No? So,
I just want to say, moving that building, that was a very nice thing to do, right?
As was
So-
the site visit. Thank you for
Certainly,
the time.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when you're walking a site, and you can actually point at things and see their
Yeah.
relationship and where they are.
so do we have any proposed conditions on this one before we close the public hearing, so we can discuss that? You, anybody? No? I know, don't think we did.
The only thing if the original comments from the other meeting was that it was going to be utilized for both private and business.
Yeah, I think you just said that now too, right?
Yes, but down the road, well, where do we go? Susie wants to bring the business in, he's gotta come back in for,
He does, because it would, now that, if we're approving a site plan with this through the planning board, then if that use changed, it would be expansion of use, and by rights, it has to come into the planning board if it's an expansion of use.
Right, if they wanted to put a business or something in there, that would have to come back before the board.
Right, yeah, or use it any other way other than what they're using it now.
Do we need to define what the current use is? Because there's, I mean, I so understand why you would need to have all these things going on, right? You just need a lot of stuff to make Twinkle Town work, and plus this is, you know, but there are many uses that are represented here. There's, you know, there's stockpiling of earth material, there's, you know, a whole lot of different kinds of storage things. So do we need to say what the use is so that we know when we've expanded it?
We're, in the minutes, it'll be for storage, because he says storage building here, but it's an accessory use used as storage, and that's what they say they're gonna use it for. As far as the, you know, stockpiling of loam or gravel or whatever is in there, if he's not selling it, then it's not a business. You know, it might be storing it there, which is his right to store it there. But if he's selling it out of there, that's a different story, then it's a business.
Okay.
But yeah, it can be stated into the motion that it is an accessory building for storage, and for storage of accessory equipment from Twinkle Town, so that it would be in the site plan that it can come up from one piece of property and go to the other piece of property, if we want to say that.
Okay, so I'm still confused, because this is our first exposure to this site plan, and we're defining a whole bunch of uses here, right?
We're defining one use, storage, as far as I know anyways. That's what it says on the application. There, you know, you're talking about the existing uses, like it's got a residential use, right? That's one use. And storage there, I suppose we could say, is another use.
And then many storage.
Storage sheds there by the looks of them, but again, it's,
There's already.
you know, there's storage sheds, and if you aren't running a business out of those sheds, then it's not a business. It has nothing to do with the planning board.
All right. Just trying to get
Anybody
those
else?
files
Richard, you have something?
no, I'm just still, my mind's not working very well this evening.
Maybe you
confused.
need to wind it up. What do we do?
If it's a use only for that property, that's what we're proposing, or he's proposing now, correct?
Any time that we, you know, usually the planning board, anytime we approve something, it's a use for that property, and it might be other people coming in, buying something from that property.
Therefore, he cannot put anything from Twinkle Town into there.
He can, actually, because, you know, that's, all the planning board knows that that's what he's gonna do with it there.
Yeah, but it's not, that doesn't make it residential, it makes it commercial.
It doesn't even make it a business, because he's not,
No, it's not a business, it's storage of commercial property.
it could be considered commercial property, I suppose, mowers or whatever, but again, it's not like he is charging the general public to store things there. That's a business. That's a commercial business. He's not. It's his own stuff that he's taking from over here and putting it under there so he can protect it. It's not even a business as far as I'm concerned. It's not charging anything. There's no money changing hands, as far as I know. There might be. I don't know. I might be wrong.
On books, it may be.
It might be, yeah. But again, it's not for the general public to use for storage. It's his own personal.
I understand that, I'm just, you know.
So as long as, you know, that's what's going on there, and unless there's an objection to it, then we all understand that that's what's going on, and that's what we're
Just
approving.
voted to make me take down the other building at Twinkle Town.
No, we said to move it. That's all. We just want you to move it over there a little bit there. But yeah, if you take that down, right, it was discussed whether you could store those things in this new building. Is that a possibility? Maybe? No? Oh, it is not a possibility.
I mean, I am Twinkle Town, so it's, you know, I use the lawnmower
Yeah.
both properties.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's, you know, not even a business, it's personal use, but we're doing it as business.
I think it's helpful if maybe I ask a clarifying question. The machinery being stored in this building, will it be used to maintain this lot?
Yeah,
Because if that's the case, then this is an accessory, it's an accessory use for this lot, and I think that's all.
Yeah, I think that you're right, we're getting too complicated with
Yeah, I
it.
think we're getting into what ifs.
Yeah, we are.
can go there, we can go that all.
So, yeah, it's an accessory use, used as storage to the lot, that's what we're approving, simply said. So is there any further discussion on it before I close the public hearing? Then I'm closing the public hearing. Now, any deliberation on that? I think we've talked it through, we know what we're proposing, or they're proposing, they have moved the building over a little bit, but still, if that zoning goes through, they're gonna have to come back to us for a conditional use permit, and to see if they can get one to put that building in. If they can't get one, they can't put the building in, because I don't, unless they move it someplace. But for now, we can approve it as it is, and that does not have to be a condition, it'd be a change in zoning, you understand that? So,
May we ask for a condition, under one of the conditions, that we have an updated?
oh, site plan, it'll have to be an updated site plan, and yeah, we can put that as a condition, because this one doesn't show the building swung, and there's no updates on it right there.
Yeah, these are back in November.
Yeah. Okay, so, any discussion on this? If not, a motion would be in order.
Another condition, the board, staff needs more detailed architectural plans. as
More
well.
detailed what?
Architectural plans.
Oh, for the building, that's right, yeah, that can be a condition there. I know there's a picture of it in there, but there are no renderings of it there. So, yeah, that should be a condition, correct, thank you.
I'll make a motion citing those two conditions.
Okay, motion by Michael York to approve the site plan with the condition that they update the site plan drawings to show the swing of the building, and that they update the information to show elevations and layouts of the building. More architectural plans.
Does it show the drainage?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Brandon.
No, but they'll have to do that on
Elevations of the building, correct. Elevations of the building, the layout of the building.
Chair, do we want to include that this was an accessory used for storage? I mean, that was the point you made earlier.
Yeah, that could be put into the motion. It's going to be in the minutes probably anyways, that it's an accessory building. And the motion will be in the minutes.
Accessory building used for storage.
Yeah, an accessory building, right, for storage.
We can add that to the condition if
That's not really a condition, that's just part of the motion that you're passing a building, accessory building that is being used for storage. You want to revise your motion to say that?
you want. No, it's fine. If you make it fine, fine.
Okay, and I guess we're leaving it as it is. Is there any further discussion? Second by Brandon. Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, and we're done.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Joe, you look related. I haven't heard back from Cordell regarding the
I'm not looking for it.
conditional use. Yeah. Yeah. And I know you'll know.
Now that we call when we submit the revised plans for final.
Yeah.
That calls accessory building.
Yeah,
Storage, so.
Yep. As you guys are flipping to the next pages of your package, I made a mistake on the agenda. The new tenant is not at the address listed. It's actually at 135 Old Homestead Highway, that multi-use building by.
Oh, the big white one?
Yeah, so sorry about that. It's not.
I was worried about that. I was worried about Talbot.
No, it's not that one. It's that very prominent multi-use building that we already have.
Okay.
Is that with the purple lights in the window?
Okay, that brings us up to our next agenda item, which is a new tenant application, Nicole Knobloch, 135 Old Homestead Highway. And let's see what we're doing here. So let me just read this here. So, okay, it's the name is Purple Ivy LLC. That's at 135 Old Homestead. And that's Nicole Knobloch. And Type of business is a med spa providing personal care services for facials, injectables, and et cetera. Location, we already said, 135 Old Homestead. Proposed hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 3 to 5 days a week. Estimated customers per day would be 3 to 6. Parking spaces planned 2 to 3, which are already there. Number of full-time employees would be 1, that would be the owner, and no part-time employees. And number of pickup and deliveries would be 2. And means of pickup would be a van or personal vehicle, outside lighting, floodlight near the entrance, which I'm assuming is already there. Yep. And special licenses, medical director physician, Emily Sullivan, number 0665. No other permits there, and signs required, which would be Island Beauty Med Spa, which you'd be seeing Adam about anyways. Planning board doesn't do that anymore, and it's in an existing marquee anyways. So, did I miss anything? No. Okay. So this is a multi-tenant application. Which spot is this going into? We don't have a drawing here, do we? Adam, which spot is it going into in there? Is that on the ground floor?
It's on the, well, it's up a couple steps, but it's just around the back side.
Oh, around back there, okay.
Around the back by the CPA is.
All right, that's where the parking space would be. Okay, are there any questions from the board about this?
Is this an existing business someplace else here in town? Because it sounds very familiar.
I mean, I work for Concord Med Spa, there's med spas all over in Keene and around here, but no, this is gonna be a brand new business.
I think the name Purple something or other, there was another business over there,
that's-
Purple something.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the owner of the building.
That's what he's talking about, yeah. Okay. Well then, if there's no other questions and no other commentary, then a motion would be in order to approve the new tenant application.
Just one question, just because it's here, floodlight near entrance, that's in the rear of the property?
Yes.
Okay. Just always concerned about lights blinding drivers, but let it blind the airplanes.
I'd make the motion that we approve it.
Motion by Brandon to approve the new tenant application. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any further discussion? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Good luck to you. You're welcome.
That was tough, huh?
Yeah, that was a long one.
See ya, Bill.
See ya.
That's most of it.
So what else are we doing? Are we discussing on rezone proposal, Adam?
Yep, let me put my calendar notification for notices of decision real quick, sorry. So, what happened here, we had some notifications from, property owners in the zone.
This is the one on 32?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
So what happened is we had some communication from a Matt Talbot and, I'm pulling this up now, sorry. The people at the southernmost portion of this proposed rezone.
The line has changed back.
Yeah, the line has
This is
moved
the
up.
old one that they presented to us. And it's now, if you look in your folder,
Oh, is it in here?
it's changed.
Oh. So it's reduced, oh, I see, yeah,
It's
I've got it,
reducing.
last page. It's reducing, yep.
So we've heard from Farwell and Talbot, who is their, not Talbot, sorry, Matthew Tar.
This is what-
Farwell.
This is the-
Property owners directly in the region, I think they have a right to suggest that they don't want to be rezoned. And,
Yeah.
They spoke out and they came to me, and they met with me a couple weeks ago, and I said I would present that new map to the board. And if you guys agree, then we do have to have a new public hearing at our next meeting, and it's not too late. It is the last day we can have a public hearing, but it's not too late. So we are still able to change this map if we need to.
So, let's see, didn't we approve that to go on the warrant already?
Yeah, but we were still able to make changes. Up until the 22nd? No, it's after the 22nd, but it's close to our next meeting. The 22nd is very nearly the deadline. But we are able to make those changes still.
And you say that with what kind of authority? You know, I'm just saying that because we voted for it to go on, you know, it was held a public hearing, planning board voted for it to go on the town warrant. And I don't recall being able to retract those things anyways. We can put another one on that says something different. But as far as retracting that, bringing it back and having another public hearing and changing it, I'm not so certain about that.
It's only finalized when the date is passed. So until that.
What date is that? Oh, the date of, yeah, I know what you mean. I know the date
Yeah,
you're
so
talking
it's
about.
only finalized after that date. If we need to make revisions, we need to do it by the last day in January. I don't know the exact date in my head, but.
Would you just check with Cordell on that?
I've already confirmed.
You have checked, you
Yeah, I've
confirmed
already
that?
confirmed we can do this.
So that it's still, even though we approved it, it's still open?
But we do need to have another public hearing.
Oh, definitely we have to have
Yeah.
another public hearing, yep.
So if you guys agree, then I need to do notices, tomorrow, pretty much.
27, 15, 22nd?
Yeah, 22nd is our next meeting, which means notices need to go out by Monday.
All right, so what the board want to do?
I'll make a motion, we move forward with another public hearing.
Motion to move forward with a new public hearing on the rezone for off of Route 32 by Mark. Is there, yeah. Seconded by Brandon. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Could you have Cordell just send us a note, a memo that this is all right?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Because I know.
I mean, we have to have another public hearing, so, I mean.
No, I mean about changing it without, I can understand doing a whole separate warrant article, but which would be real confusing for the voters.
Yeah.
But
Especially if
since
it's passed.
I've been on the board, we've never pulled one back. So I want to know that we're,
It's not pulling it back, though, it's amending. So essentially.
it's not amending, we already approved it. You amend it before you approve it.
Yeah, no, but you're allowed to.
Not
amend it.
amending anything
But
there.
you are allowed to amend it until the last day that you can have a public hearing. So the public hearing notice is gonna be amending amending Amendment 6.
Yep.
But you're not able to amend it after January 20, whatever it is. So after that date, you cannot amend, it's going on the warrant, whether you like it. So, yeah,
Have them write us a memo.
okay.
Thank you.
If what he's saying is correct, then there's no sense of finalizing any of the warrant articles until the last possible
Moment, yeah, saying, but yeah, we've never dragged one back before, but I just want to see his opinion in writing, and I have no problem with it whatsoever. I just want to see it, in my own mind, to make sure that we're doing it okay. Okay, that brings us to, actually brings us to adjournment,
No,
practically.
Not quite.
Not quite. You have something?
Yeah, you have a copy, everyone has a copy of the rules of procedure.
Oh, yes, we do, right here. Yep.
And I believe according to the RSA, we're supposed to do this every year.
I double checked that, that's not true.
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all. We can do it at our discretion, but we should, it's not a problem to read them over every year, or rules of procedure and other rules that we do. Do we want to take these and read them up, or do we want to go over them right now?
I was thinking you guys could take them home, and then we can discuss at our next meeting.
Yep, so on number 2, on item B, let's think about that, because, and this has, I'm just going to read that. Participation by alternates. An alternate member who is not sitting in place of a regular member may participate as a non-voting member in all discussions and deliberations by the board, including participation in a public hearing and deliberations after a public hearing, but shall not vote on any matter, which is normally what we've been doing there. But if you think about it, the deliberation is a conversation between those members who are actually going to decide on the plat that is before us, not necessarily through the alternates that are sitting at the board. Some boards in their rules of procedure, they even have the alternates leave the table and sit out in the audience while the board deliberates. So think about if we want to change that or not.
Are you thinking of prior to closing the public hearing that they're allowed to?
Oh, prior to closing the public hearing, they're in all the discussions with us. It's only deliberation when you're deciding that, how you're gonna vote and why, is that you're a non-voting member trying to influence somebody who's voting, which is usually not allowed after the public hearing is done. We exclude all types of input from anybody else in the audience, just the people deliberating that are gonna decide or influencing one another maybe, but not somebody who's not voting is not supposed to really, in my mind, influence the voters.
So you'd add, after closing the public hearing.
Then the deliberation is among the voting members and not among the alternates as well.
So I have the planning board in New Hampshire publication here. It's, and it's Appendix C, Suggested Rules of Procedure for Planning Boards. And they have a paragraph on that. Would you like me to read that?
Yeah.
It says, at planning board meetings, alternates who are not activated to fill the seat of an absent or recused member, or who have not been appointed by the chair to temporarily fill the unexpired term of a vacancy, may participate with the board in a limited capacity. During a public hearing, alternates may sit at the table with the regular members and may view documents, listen to testimony, and actively participate and interact with other board members, the applicant, abutters, and the public. However, they shall not be allowed to make or second motions and shall not participate in any way during the deliberations by the board.
So-
That's a suggestion, I hear.
That's what I'm thinking.
So, yeah, upon the close of the public hearing, alternates must remove themselves from the table and sit with other members of the public unless they are sitting in place of another member. During work sessions or portions of meetings that do not include a public hearing, alternates may fully participate, exclusive of any motions or votes that may be made. At all times, the chair shall fully inform the public of the status of any alternate present and identify the members who shall be voting on the application.
Thank you. So it's the planning board's call as to whether we want to allow alternates to deliberate with us or not. These are suggestions which are good suggestions, in my opinion, too. I don't know if we'd go as far as kicking them off of their seat and having them sit back in the audience there. We could if we were mad at them, but I don't know. But the other, we might want to consider changing that a little bit on the other ones, so it's just the voting members deliberating on the decision. You can think about that.
I've always just an opinion, which is, it's historical. I've always felt like being an alternate is sort of like being a planning board member in training, and if you don't have your full voice, you can't really practice. You know what I mean?
But you have your full voice all up until it's deliberated for the vote. I mean, the full voice is through the public hearing, you know, as you had just read there. And it's asking questions. You can't make a motion, but it's asking questions and putting in your 2 cents on the whole thing, other than trying to, you know, when you're trying to come to a decision, if they aren't voting members, they shouldn't be trying to influence the voting members, I think is what that's about.
Yeah, so I think there's a balance here, and certainly them sitting here, being able to interact until the public session is closed, makes total sense. You know, and that's your opportunity. So, you know, if you're an alternate, you've got to speak up then, right? Once the public meeting is closed, it makes sense that the active board members deliberate in this.
Well, we can think about it, because again, it's up to the planning board to make their own rules of procedure. We can, unless it's against the law, we can do anything pretty much in here that we want to with our rules. So let's read this over and come up with any other things on the rules of procedure later on, and we can discuss them at our next meeting.
Could we add to this discussion, if we're going to look at our rules of procedure on a regular basis, I wonder if we couldn't look at our conflict of interest policy
Yeah, you can
on the
look at that.
same kind of regular basis, because it's just a good reminder.
It is a good reminder. Yep, definitely a good reminder.
We reference it in the rules of procedure, but to actually maybe have that appended to, because I had to dig around to find this ordinance, to have it, you know, in our notebooks.
Yep. Yep, sounds good. Might as well keep everything on the up and up.
I can add one thing before we adjourn. I talked to Teresa about impact fees. She will need another person to handle that. So in my mind, we should bring in Maria, talk to her, because we need to know what it's gonna cost the town. First of all, we gotta get the selectmen to agree they would hire such a person. Then what is the cost to the town for that person? And are we gonna recover enough impact fees to be worth it?
That's the $64 question, isn't it?
That's
Because
right.
we don't know what's going to be developed in the town. So you go hiring the person, and then you don't have any development, then you haven't recovered the
Well,
fees.
she could use a person right now anyway.
I agree, but still, you know, getting back to that, then you do have a bunch of development, then it might pay for the person, because, yeah. And so we can,
Somebody has to do that cost analysis.
we could bring Teresa in here and
Just,
put her right there and give her the
Yeah, just-
5th degree. And see what her opinion is. I spoke with her before last year, I think, when we were talking about it. I went and asked her about it, what it would be, you know, what it would take.
I
and
had a
so-
5-minute conversation with her in that sense.
Yeah.
I think everybody should talk to her.
No, we gotta decide whether, I suppose, well, that's part of the decision anyways, whether you want to implement impact fees, is to have the bookkeeper here and decide what it's gonna cost. But, as an ongoing thing, maybe this year, talk about it,
Yeah.
maybe not. Okay?
That
Anything
leaves it
else?
wide open.
Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Richard to adjourn is, second, anybody second?
Brandon seconds.
I'll second.
Okay, Brandon seconded.
I was waiting for
Is there any further discussion? And all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, and we're done.